Alright, in this video, I am reacting to some hot anime takes submitted by you guys on my Patreon, patreon.com/ProZD. It's $1 a month. I asked people for their anime hot takes, and I picked a few, and I'm just going to react to them. Let's see what you guys got. Let's fight. The pacing in One Piece isn't that bad. Listen, I love One Piece. I'm in One Piece. It really depends on the era. So I was watching the anime, and I watched it for quite a while, regularly. And I stopped watching the anime and switched to the manga in Dressrosa. I think the pacing is rough in that era. And then the new stuff I hear, it's better. Also, the animation looks beautiful in the new stuff. It's partially why, actually, funny timing, I yesterday was like, I should go back to where I left off, which actually was further than Dressrosa now, and actually catch up. So there's like a lot of episodes. I left off in the very beginning of Whole Cake. I'm current on the manga. It's interesting, yeah, going back to the anime, it's a little sluggish. But that said, I love the voice acting. Now I'm just talking about my thoughts on One Piece, but whatever. Sometimes it's much clearer in the anime what's happening. I think, unfortunately, with the manga, sometimes the pacing is too fast. And there's too many tiny panels scrunched together, because I get it. Oda has a lot of stuff he needs to fit into these chapters, especially as the series has become more and more dense. But sometimes it's like, I actually can't tell what's happening in this tiny little square. Having time to breathe is actually kind of nice. So I'm going to say, at its worst era, the pacing is really, really painful. But other episodes, I actually prefer the pacing of the anime, as long as they're not stretching things out. You can just tell. You can tell when they're padding things out, stretching things out. Really long recaps, really long flashbacks of recap clips. It's a rough era. With that said, I'm excited to catch up to the new stuff because it does look beautiful. Anime dialogue works better read through subtitles than heard in English. This one's interesting. I think this is about localization. So, yes, if you just read the subtitles just as they are, then yes, they don't sound natural in English, but anime dubs don't just take the subtitles, and they can't. They have to, one, make them fit to the lit flaps of the characters, but also they localize the lines and make them sound more natural. And I think the best dub scripts are ones that don't just literally take it and just paste it in. I mean, it also just doesn't work that way. That's just not how dubbing works. You cannot take, as much as some scripts might think you can, just take the line, directly translate it, and plop it. You have to tweak it, you have to shape it, and you have to make it sound natural. So, I don't know I can't think of any anime that literally is just the subtitles read out loud. If it were that, then yes, I would agree with you. I think that would sound ridiculous. But dubs don't do that, so I don't even know what you're talking about here. You can't say you like anime if you refuse to watch shoujo. This is interesting. I think I can agree with, if you call yourself a fan of anime, then yes, I think just saying no to an entire genre just because it's a genre, you're limiting yourself. I'm gonna put it that way. There are a lot of people who they say they love anime, but what they really kind of mean is they love shonen anime. Because shonen anime tends to be the most popular, the most flashy, the most mainstream. They go, oh, well, I'm an anime fan, and they watch only one thing. And it is kind of like saying, oh, I'm a big movie guy, and you only watch action movies. And listen, I love action movies. I think action movies are great. But if you only watch action movies, do you call yourself a movie fan? That just feels a little odd to me, right? With that said, you don't have to like shoujo anime. I don't think that's a requirement either. For me, as someone who I really love anime, I watch all types. For me, genre is not something that is gonna dissuade me from something, at least. I'm gonna give pretty much any show a chance. And I think if you are someone who only watches shonen anime, I think it would be awesome if you tried other shows outside your comfort zone, because you might find stuff that you really dig, even if it's from a genre you didn't think you would like. I just encourage that with everything. Just trying new shit and going, oh, I actually really like this. Like, that to me is what I love about my hobbies. With the exclusion of Gear 5, the fights in One Piece are by far the least interesting aspect of the story. The characters, mysteries, world building, and overall narrative are all significantly more interesting, and what I come to One Piece for. I can agree with you on this. I think the fights in One Piece are fun, but they're not the draw. And sometimes they're a little too long. The characters are the most important thing for me in One Piece. I love the characters. I love the Straw Hats. And then I love the world building too. And oftentimes, like, some of the most exciting stuff for me is some of the stuff maybe in between arcs where the world expands and you find out what happens to the greater world and things like that. But within the arcs themselves, it's the character stuff. I mean, it's Luffy connecting with people. It's Luffy fighting for people. It's Luffy and his friends, growing. It's just, that's the shit right there. Who punches who? They can be fun, but it's not the highlight for me at all. So I can agree with you on this. Might not be the hottest take, but I only watch dubs if they're available. There are so many amazing English voice actors that make it their own. I agree with you that a lot of dub actors are great. It's funny, even though I work in dubs, people are surprised when I say this. My default is subs. I actually usually watch most stuff in its original language. And also, I'm just a big fan of Seiyu, so there's that aspect of it as well. With that said, if I'm in a dub and I'm like a major character, like Delicious in Dungeon, I do watch it dubbed. And my biases aside, dubs are like really good now. I'm very impressed with the level of performances, with the scripting. I think a lot of people have in their head, I guess they compare it to what dubs used to be. Dubs back then had their own charm, but I think dubs have gotten a lot better. So yeah, listen, I'm just happy if people are watching anime. Subs or dubs, whatever. If just people are watching anime, that's great. Cowboy Bebop is overrated. Watching each episode felt like a chore. Edward was the only good thing about the show, and she just disappeared before the end to never return. I completely disagree. I think Cowboy Bebop is great. Cowboy Bebop is definitely melancholy. It is slower paced. It vibes with me. I didn't watch that Netflix show, but just seeing like clips and scenes, I was like, they don't seem to get the tone of this. Like, Cowboy Bebop can be silly, and it can be action-packed, and it can be bombastic, but I think what's great about Bebop is it has a wide array of flavors. Like, some episodes are really down-to-earth, really sad, really sweet, but slower paced, and I like that kind of stuff. If you're someone who really wants more fights or more action, listen, I have friends like that, and I disagree with them on a lot of things, but also, that's just different tastes, I think Bebop is just, animation's beautiful, the music is impeccable, I think the scripts are quite good, just really solid little stories. It's not overrated to me. Like, I really still love it to this day. There's a maturity to it that a lot of anime is lacking. Not a lot of anime, but I don't know. It just has this mature, level-headed, but interesting vibe that I wish more anime had. That's how I should word it. I think it's great. I don't know. It's a classic. I can't agree with you on this. And I think maybe 1 or 2 episodes are a chore, but I think the overall hit ratio is quite high. Space Dandy has enjoyed way too much of a redemption tour. Everybody's gotten so hopped up on the underappreciated, beautifully animated Watanabe gem narrative. But man, the writing and humor are still cringe to the max, and 70% of the episodes are nonsensical gibberish. I don't agree with you on this. So, I will say, I had kind of like an impression of Space Dandy before I watched it, like, oh, it's just kind of, I don't know, dumb humor, and just, I don't know. I had kind of an unfair sort of expectation of it. And so when I finally watched it with my anime group, I was like, oh, this is actually pretty interesting. Like, it does have that silliness, and it is very goofy, but a lot of very experimental episodes, a lot of very just, there's some pretty melancholy stuff in there. I'm like, oh, it's just like Bebop, but goofier. Like, definitely goofier. I was not expecting the amount of creativity and depth to some of these episodes. And just I don't know. I really enjoyed it. It was a show I did not give a fair shake. So when I finally watched it, I was like, I'm glad I sat down and gave this a chance. So I don't agree with you. Now, is it the best anime that like Watanabe's ever done? No, but for what it's doing, like it's trying to be silly, but also have something to say. I don't know. I really liked it a lot. I liked it way more than I thought I would. So I can't agree with you on this one. Okay, I always get shit for this. I will never watch Dragon Ball because I can't stand Toriyama's character designs. It ruled out Dragon Quest for me too. I've never seen a single thing designed by Toriyama that I thought looked cool. Cool. I'm gonna give you shit for this. We have very different opinions on this. Toriyama's art, I love it. In fact, I just finished playing Dragon Quest VII on 3DS, very frustratingly because they just announced a Switch remake. I did not like Dragon Quest VII. I thought it was very long. Too long. And I'm a big Dragon Quest fan. I'm playing all of them. I only have one left. Maybe I should do a video on it. Anyway, with that said, one of the highlights of the game for me, what kept me going through it, is the monster designs. His monster designs are wonderful. I mean, the slime alone is like one of the best designs of all time. You can't tell me at least just his monster designs alone are impeccable. With that said, like, Dragon Ball, like, I can understand, like, for me, my preference is the original Dragon Ball, Kid Goku. Those designs are a lot more whimsical, but even just, like, Frieza? It's fucking Frieza, man. Like, Frieza is just, that's an iconic design. Like, I don't know. I can't agree with you on this. Like, his stuff has this whimsy, this charm. Yeah, you could argue that Z, it kind of gets a little too serious, but I don't know. The same series also has Majin Buu, and I think Majin Buu is great. I don't know. It still can have that fun. No, I'm not with you on this. I'm giving you shit for this. Toriyama was and is still one of the greats. Such an iconic art style too. I like when an artist's art style is iconic or like, you know, memorable, and like you can tell that's Toriyama. It's fucking Toriyama. We are not on the same side on this. I love Toriyama. Toriyama's the best. 2003 FMA versus Brotherhood, or Better Than Brotherhood. Ooh, no. I mean, I disagree. So let's talk about FMA. I started with the original 2003 anime. And when I was young, I really liked it. Except the ending. I thought the ending was very disappointing. And then the movie I did not like at all. And then I read the manga, and I was like, whoa, this is so much better. So, boiling down my thoughts, the manga is the best. Like, that is the best. Brotherhood, I really like, but the first episodes are not ideal. They're rushed. It's like the one part I was like, why do this? Why rush this part? Like, and they skip stuff. It really does it a disservice. That's why the manga is the best. Here's what the 2003 anime does well, in my opinion. I think emotionally, it does stuff really well. Especially in the first canon episodes. Like, there's a certain character's death that is devastating in the 2003 anime. In the manga and Brotherhood, it's fine, but it's not. They kind of develop that character more, and then the way they do the scene is very, very impactful. And there's like, I would say the emotional beats in the 2003 anime are done really well. My biggest frustrations with the 2003 anime is the story structure, and it's not their fault. Like, they ran out of manga, and one of the things I always ask someone, like, they're like, oh, 2003 is better. I'm like, okay. Why are the homunculi named after the 7 deadly sins in the 2003 anime? In the manga and Brotherhood, there's a very distinct reason why, which I won't spoil. In the 2003 anime, because of how homunculi work in that anime, it doesn't. The sins don't mean anything, and that to me is just one example of like, yeah, they tried, but it doesn't make any sense. And you go, oh, well, it kind of represents... Really? You think sloth in the 2003 anime represents sloth in any way? No. So it doesn't work. That's my biggest issues with the 2003 anime, is I think the story structure is ambitious, and I admire that they really gave it a shot and they just swung for the fences. But I don't like the story in 2003, and I think the second half of it really falls apart. And the movie, don't get me started on the movie. I can respect that it was a product of its time, did some stuff really well emotionally, and it really just went for something, and I can respect that. Doesn't mean I have to like it, but I can respect that. But to me, Brotherhood, and I'm just a big Hiro Arakawa fan in general, so like her stuff is like untouchable for me. Like Silver Spoon, I think is like a masterpiece. I just think she put so much thought and care into story structure, payoff, foreshadowing, that you can't tell me that the 2003 anime's story is better. You can say other things about it, but it just doesn't really work for me. Also, I think the way the 2003 anime treats some characters, especially female characters, I just strongly disagree with. And I think a lot of characters are just straight up weaker in the 2003. So that's my thoughts on it. It's not a bad anime. Well, it's not an anime that has no value. It has value, but it's not for me. Sometimes that happens, right? Where you, let's say, watch an anime and you're like, oh, I liked it. And then you read the manga and you're like, oh God, the manga's so much better. But you just didn't know that because you only had the original anime. So I'm glad Brotherhood was made to be able to, tell the real story. And yeah, it's Brotherhood. It's great. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on it. But it's also just a matter of preference and taste. I only watch anime if someone's voicing a character, full stop. I'm flattered. And also, I hope that if I'm in an anime and it's a good anime and you are inspired to watch it because I'm in it, that's great, because I just want more people watching anime. But otherwise, you gotta watch other anime. Chihaya Furu. I'm not in Chihaya Furu, but you gotta watch Chihaya Furu. I know this is, a joke one. Or maybe it's not a joke. But if it is not a joke, watch more anime. Kind of like how I was talking about, people who only watch shonen. Watch more anime. Anime is great. Everyone should watch more anime and try all sorts of anime. Anime is awesome. Alright. I reacted to some hot takes. Hopefully I did not make people too upset. And yeah, maybe I'll do another one if people like this video. Yeah, patreon.com/ProZD. $1 a month. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.